Two Brains revenue leaderboard for November 22 is out and the numbers are crazy. The top 10 runs from $46,000 all the way up to 73 grand. Can you imagine if your gym grossed 73 grand? The big question, how do these gyms generate so much revenue? The answer is coming up in this edition of Run a Profitable Gym. I'm your host, Mike Workington. My mission every week is to connect you to the top gym owners in the world so you can find out their secrets and have the exact same success. Every week, real insight from real gym owners, no secrets right here on the show. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a tip. With me today, Ashley Sell of Midwest Strength and Performance. She's right near Chicago. She's got two gyms. One of them earned a spot on our top 10 leaderboard for revenue in November. Before the show, she showed me a graph of her gym's growth in revenue. At 2020, it looks like a rocket ship is taking off. The thing goes almost straight up and it keeps going all the way into 2022 with 2023 on the horizon. Ashley is here today to tell us how she did it. Welcome to the show, Ashley.
Hi, Mike. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this milestone and share with the Two Brain community how much mentorship has meant to us and what it's done.
Well, I really appreciate it because back in the day, if I had looked at your graph, I would have just been like, head in hands, I don't know how to do this. And I would have loved to find you and ask you the questions. So now I get the privilege of asking you those questions, and you get the honor of telling other gym owners how you did it so they can do the same thing. So I'm going to get right into it so people don't have to hit the fast forward button on us. Give me the 1 minute summary of your business model. So, like, what are you selling? Who's your perfect client? Like, put this in perspective for us. What is your business?
Yep. So we have a few different major revenue streams. Our highest grossing revenue stream is our private training.
Okay.
We also have group fitness, and that took us a little bit to figure out. And actually, Two Brain was really helpful with that because that's for most gyms in Two Brain, that's like kind of the bread and butter. And then we also do group training. So that's more of a semi-private feel, mostly with athletes.
So private training is one-on-one?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Perfect. So athletes are a big deal for you. Is that your actual avatar, like athletes? And we're talking high school, college, professional, or what else are you focusing on?
So it's almost a misnomer, Mike. Our name is Midwest Strength and Performance, and so people initially think that our avatar is actually athletes.
Okay.
We do have a lot of athletes, and it's actually more so at our other location, but it really is about strength for general population adults,
Okay.
right? And so I would say our avatar is actually between like 30 and 50, and it's working professionals primarily. And that's really the avatar of who comes to our gym, and it's people that are looking to get stronger, looking to get in shape. And then we do specialize in athletics as well, so we do like train a UFC fighter, we train D1 football players, but they really are a minority. And so yeah.
Okay, I know that avatar well. That's the exact kind of thing that my wife looks to serve. It's that 30 to 50. She specializes in women predominantly. She has some men, but she want people who want to get stronger and
Mm-hmm.
generally fitter. So that's we're on kind of the same page there. So that's the 1 minute summary. A big base. You've got a big emphasis on personal stuff. You got some smaller groups. You've got larger groups, and very similar to what a lot of the gym owners in the micro gym community are doing, but you're having greater success. So I referenced the revenue graph earlier, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
when I look at it, 2017 to 2020, things are increasing, but the rate isn't dramatic, and it looks like it's almost starting. The rate of growth is starting to slow down in as you approach 2020. But then all of a sudden, 2020 explodes, and 2021, same thing. It looks incredible. So the big question
Mm-hmm.
in 2020, what happened to change that trajectory?
Yeah, several things. So the first few years were really hard for the business. I actually was not part of the business at the time. And that's one key thing, Mike, that I want to share. Like, we are not the normal Two Brain gym in the sense that like there's one owner and staff. We actually have six owners across the two
Really? Hey.
locations. And our team is large. So we actually have um I think we have a total of 16 people right now, including our owners. So there's 12 staff as well, coaches.
Okay.
Um, and so that's a huge thing to note. This gym started with these five guys that wanted to risk it all and start a gym together, and they really were the best coaches in the area. And so they started doing what they love, right, and started really kind of pursuing their passions. But like most gym owners, they realized pretty quickly that they didn't really want to run a gym. And so
Mm-hmm.
at that point, like I was asked by my husband, who's one of the other owners, to come in and take a look at the business and see if I could help. And it was a perfect match.
What were
I
you doing
love
at the time?
fixing things. So I was actually a legal technology sales consultant.
What is
So I was
that?
working. So I was selling software to law firms, and I split my
Okay.
time in New York and Boston. And I was really like, so I had like I was a political science major in college,
Yeah.
pre-law, loved attorneys, loved working with attorneys, can you believe
Ooh, you're
it?
that person.
And I'm that person. And I really loved it. But there were some changes, and I was looking for something new, um and it was just a perfect fit. I was able to use
Okay.
my skill set and come in. So the first thing we did was when I came on board was we tracked our members. Where were they coming from?
Mhm.
And we realized that 98% of our membership base was actually coming from Wheaton, which is where we are now.
Mhm.
We opened up about 15 minutes west down the road. And so that was a quick, whoa, we got to like, all of our people are commuting. That's a problem. And so we actually relocated in January of 2021 to Wheaton. And
Okay.
that was the first really, really big thing, because now our community could actually refer their friends, and that affiliate marketing was now something that could plug and play.
Okay.
And then we also did a couple of things. That was when I officially started,
In
and I was the
2020?
first, yeah, January. Well, no, so sorry, like I started helping mid 2020, and then in 2021 I was like officially part of the business.
Okay.
And that was the first time that the gym had a dedicated owner to business growth, which was
Aha,
crazy.
there we go. Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
I
Tell me more. That's a big one right there. Owner, people who are listening, someone dedicated on growing the business. If you don't have that,
Yeah.
you need that. And it can be you, but if you don't have that person, someone needs to fill that chair. So tell us what you did.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have since like become a coach. I am a certified personal trainer and have lots of things. But I didn't, for the first year I was solely focused on how I could grow the business and make it
Whoa.
successful for these guys. Because I mean, I'm sure people might see the graph. Like our first year was $86,000 across five people. Like that's
That's
like not surviving,
the first
right?
year, like gross
Yeah,
revenue for the first year.
of the gym, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so I came in and was like, okay, how do I like, we need to like triple this, right? Like, and so you can see like, so every year got better, but then in 20, like when I was able to come on and start thinking about systemizing the gym in an ideal market, right? That it just, things really took off. I also at the same time found Two Brain, and I had actually interviewed a lot of mentoring companies as
Mhm.
part of my onboarding to say, just to even like just start understanding the industry, because it was a change for me. And so we ended up, so about a year, I just consumed Two Brains content. We did lots of really important things like moving to subscription personal training,
Mm.
focused on how do we get these classes where our average attendance is 4, and how do we or even less in some cases, and how do we fill those spots. We started doing things like marketing, advertising, focusing on the customer journey, right? That those just like weren't things that we had ever done. And then earlier this year, we we actually got a mentor, and I got to tell you, it was one of the best things we did. And I'm not just saying that. Chris Plentis, shout out, is our
Good
mentor,
guy.
and he is the best. There is something really valuable about being able to engage regularly with someone that understands your business, like really understands your business, and can give you that like third party insight, right? They're not in the situation, they're just slightly removed. And like I have a big team, right? So like talking with my 5 other owners is like is really helpful, but being outside of in the middle is it's so critical. And so I like really recommend it. He has been able to see things that we don't see, and he has been able to guide us. And so, I mean, like, I love you guys. Can you tell?
We love sharing your story with other people because there are
Mhm,
people out there that are struggling and they're stuck in that spot where you were and where I was in that pre
mhm,
2020 range where it's like we have too many mouths to feed and not enough revenue. And
mhm.
listeners, I'm going to point out a couple of things here that I'll pull out of what Ashley just said. She's got a bit of a sales background, which is definitely a helpful thing, right? Like Ashley, you have sold some stuff to some lawyers and accountants, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Mhm,
selling is a thing, and that is not a skill that most people are born with. It is a learned and acquired and practiced skill. If you're bad at selling and don't know how to do it, you can learn, and it is important because if nobody in your business is selling, your business will not grow. Next thing that was really important that she said, she came on with a mandate specifically to grow the business. So I imagine, Ashley, that I followed a similar path to your husband and his partners. I liked fitness, so I opened a gym, and I liked coaching, and I thought I was a decent coach, and I thought the business would grow. It didn't. So having someone dedicated to actually working on growing the business, not just delivering the service, that's a big deal. In that position, Ashley was then talking about things like moving to an ideal location, right? That's a big one. If your gym is in the worst part of town and no one comes there and no one wants to come there and it's a 35-minute commute, that might have worked like 10 years ago when you were selling a really specific thing that people couldn't find anywhere. Doesn't necessarily work right now. You need to be where the clients are. And then you've got situations where you're looking at, what are my offerings? What am I selling my clients? How am I selling it? How am I connecting with people? All of it comes back to dedicating time to grow the business. And the big one that every single gym owner says on this show, systems, putting systems in place, because if you don't have those, you have a hobby, not a business. So I want to dig into a couple of those things, Ashley, if you don't mind. Tell me about a couple of the systems that are like the absolute backbone of your revenue in the gym. Like, what is holding this thing up?
I think so I would say the first thing is the mutual accountability. It felt really hard for a lot of our coaches to like even move to a subscription model. I had to do a lot of convincing over a long period of time to do that because it felt weird to them, right? They had always sold like these packages. But here's the thing, when we have to have a mutual respect of time. And if those packages are going into 6 months or people are coming back 2 years later asking you to like honor those, that's a problem for us. And we find that we have better clients and better adherence to health plans when people are on a monthly rhythm, right? So we are month to month, we charge month to month, and they use it or lose it. And it becomes now, of course, we make exceptions if people get sick and things like that, but the accountability is like way higher. And so some people don't like that, and we lose clients sometimes because of that, but those aren't our avatar. Right.
So I'm just going to tell people what this model is: subscriptions. Yeah. So instead of selling PT packages like a 10 pack or whatever it is, and waiting for the clients to use them, on their pace or whatever, and it always happens where they don't use them, then they use a bunch, or they try and hold on to the last punch until like, they don't want to rebuy, and then you have to resell every time, right? So that means like I have to sell to the same person over and over and over again. It doesn't encourage retention. It doesn't encourage progress because the clients are like, oh, I took 4 weeks off and I'm going to keep my punch card going. None of that works. The subscription model is just like a subscription for, say, any other service, like your music service or whatever it is that you do. Monthly fee comes with this amount of training. You use it or you lose it. And it rolls over. I'm sorry, the classes don't roll over, but the subscription does, meaning you don't have to resell that thing every month. You tell people to get the progress that you want. This is the service. It's a rollover service where you're just going to keep getting billed monthly, and we're going to keep taking you towards your goals. You do not have to resell it every month. All you have to do is make sure that person is super happy and seeing progress, and it keeps going. So when you did that, what happened to revenue? Like, did you see dramatic movement in revenue right away, or in retention? Like, what changed in your numbers and metrics?
Yeah, no, immediately. And it wasn't, and here's the important thing is it was recurring revenue.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like you can increase revenue 1 month by doing lots of really cool like merch drops and things. And if you're trying to hit a specific goal, that's really helpful. But this is recurring revenue, and that means something way different, right? If you add $10,000 of recurring revenue, that's crazy. That'll, you got to do something wrong to mess that up. Now, what I will say is that you cannot do something like this unless you are also dedicated to the quality of the product. Because you do, like, it's not that you can like just like step back. We view it as we have to win their business every month. Even though it auto renews, you still have to make sure that they are making progress, as you said, and that they're very happy, because these are not like inexpensive packages. These are hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every month. And so they're high value, and they require a very like white glove product. And so that's also really important as well.
So who then in your business is in charge of ensuring that there is a white glove product and that these people stay around? Like, do you have a retention person, or do you have a coach development person? Like, what does that staff structure look like? Because obviously you're in charge of business growth. Who's handling those aspects?
That is such a good question. So that is something that the ownership team takes responsibility for. So to your point, right, I'm usually behind a desk for the most of my hours, right? And the guys are on the floor, right? And they're coaching their clients, and many of them are like professional coaches, and they do that all day, and they do also contribute to business growth, but they're the ones that are in the action. So they're on the floor and they can see what the product is. And here's the thing, having 5 owners means that everybody is like that much more invested in the product. So of course their private training is going to be fantastic. I mean, they're incredible. They're incredible coaches. And then they can also see our staff on the floor, right? And so they have a very in tune idea of the quality that is being delivered by our other coaches, and they're able to really be the professional development there. And Mike, that's one thing I would love to talk about as well, because we sat at a number for many months that didn't get us on the revenue board, on the revenue leadership board, that was notable, right? And we were very happy. And but we made some changes in the last 4 months that I think were actually the pieces that made us, for the first time, hit the leaderboard. And I'd love to chat about those too.
Okay,
and that
so
was
tell
really,
me tell me who the retention person is, or how you retain these clients.
Oh.
Then I want to go right onto that stuff and talk about the last 4 months. But I want to know, first of all, if you've got this subscription service and it's high value, who's making sure that these people are happy?
Yes. Okay. So the coaches for the private training, and then like a little bit less in tune is me, right? So I've been doing that. I did that for the last 2 years. We recently hired 2 CSMs. One
client
is in
success
Beacon.
manager. There you go.
Yes. And they are dedicated to happiness, right? Client happiness.
Yeah.
We have one in our other location. They are fantastic. We have full-blown job descriptions, responsibilities for them, so that's very clear. One of the 2 brain mentors just like talked about having like a very clear list of things to do for people. I totally agree. We have, the last 6 months since we added these members on, have really focused on making sure that it is super clear. They have these rhythms, right? These are CSM rhythms. It's very clear. These are like almost like monthly. They know what they should be doing on a regular basis, and it's almost like it's systemizing it. And that also now is our built-in role to make sure that everybody's happy, not just class people, also private training people. And they also like are fun, like people, right? They run our events. We try and do one a month in Wheaton. And really that's not, yes, there is like some profit. It's not a lot. It's really about getting our membership together so the 5 a.m. can see the 5 p.m., right? And developing community.
Did you see like a measurable return on investment when you hired these client success managers?
Absolutely. Now, absolutely. And it also, I think, more importantly, allowed me to go up the value ladder. Because so as this business has grown, we have had to shift our focus into EHR, right? Because I have a very high, like, that sounds obnoxious. I am willing and I love this business. So if you're a gym owner, like, you love your business and you're willing to do everything that it takes. But I realized maybe about 6 months ago that I needed to hire some more people to help me, because I couldn't consistently work 80-hour weeks. And I loved it, but I also realized that I needed to make sure for the longevity of my business that I did not burn out, that my team didn't burn out. And so that was really critical. So the ROI there was absolutely, but it's going to show up and has started showing up in our EHR and also like happiness.
Okay, so 2 key concepts there, listeners. EHR, effective hourly rate, that is the amount of money that you take in divided by the amount of time you spend to make it. So if you make $100 and you make that in 50 hours, you have a $2 rate. But if you make $100 in 1 hour, you have a $100 rate. So if you do that, you do the math, and some gym owners don't want to do the math, but I encourage you to do it. My EHR was, I think, 0 for a very long time because I didn't pay myself. Don't do that. But if you're working a huge amount of hours, it's unsustainable. You can start hiring to increase your EHR, your effective hourly rate. When you do that, Ashley said, climbing the value ladder. That is a system that 2Brain has in place to help you analyze exactly the tasks and roles in your gym that you can offload first to free up the most amount of your time. And then you use that free time to generate more income that will then pay for that role and more. Key example, hire a cleaner for 12, 15 bucks an hour, whatever it is. Take those 4 hours that you would have spent mopping the floors. And all you have to do there is make $60 and you've covered the cost of the cleaner. And because you're great at your job, you're going to make more than $60. That is how you grow a business. So you climb that value ladder. So those are key concepts and they're not random. There's an actual plan step by step to help you analyze it and do it properly, because it's not just magic like I hire and I grow. It's I hire, I then dedicate myself to specific growth activities. So talk to me about the last 4 months. What are the big deals that got you on this leaderboard? Because again, I've seen the chart. It's crazy and it's going up. What did you do?
We refocused in on professional development and also EHR for our owners. So as I mentioned, like these guys, they love coaching, but also I want to help them find freedom in their coaching, right? There's something different when all of your revenue personally, like the money that you bring home to your family, comes from coaching. There is something really wonderful when it doesn't do that. And when you can coach because you love it. And they're right. You see, it's like almost a lot of them have like golden handcuffs to some extent where they love coaching, but they have to do it. And so our very intense focus the last 6 months from my perspective and from our team's perspective is, let's hire some staff. Let's get them really good, right? We know we have really good leaders here. Let's hire coaches. Let's make them really good and spend a lot of time investing in their professional development, and then help them become fantastic class coaches, fantastic private training. We hit a point over the summer where we could not take on any more clients. Like just from an hours in the day, like nobody was willing to work another hour. And that was a very clear moment where we said, okay, well, for business growth, right? If we want, what's next? And so that for us was, let's find really good coaches and let's make them better. And so that's something that we've been doing. And so that is what we're working on now. And I'm seeing shifts, right? I think, and I the last 2 months show it, like the shift there, where our coaches are now building careers.
Okay, so this is a big deal. So you reached capacity. Everyone's working too much. Now you're starting to hire some people around there. And when you hire, how are you doing that? So the big question here is like, how are these coaches making careers? Because it's very tough. I've been there to try and like make a full-time coaching career, making $20 an hour coaching classes. Are you using any specific models or systems to pay these coaches in a way that helps them make an actual career?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, it's not going to be just classes. It can't be. And that Two Brain is very clear about that. And I love the way that they talk about like the ideal day. We have the career roadmap meetings every 90 days and like religiously, because we have to be in tune with our coaches. And especially when we're focusing on professional development, right? And classes are fantastic. It is a great skill set and the product there is really important. But for them to build what they need to do, if coaching is their passion, they have to include private training. And Two Brain has talked about this on the gym level and the owner level, but for us, the next step is we're doing that already as our ownership, right? We've now gotten that, but now we need to be able to do that for our coaches. And when a coach can come in and say, I can have this amount of money from classes, but this amount of money from private training, that builds them freedom. And the Two Brain model ensures that we pay them above market value, which we love. I love to be able to say, and I've had actually coaches tell me that the Two Brain model that we use actually is the best paid they've ever been in the industry. And that's from a coach that's been working for 10 years in training.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And so that's like so gratifying as an owner to say, wait, I can like really have an impact on these people's careers and lives and families. And that's really exciting.
And are you using the standard 2 Brain 4/9 model to pay these coaches for that kind of stuff? Yeah. So listeners, the very simple, I'm not going to grind this into the dirt here, but the idea is 4/9 of program revenue goes to the coach. That's 44%. And then you've got profit allocated from the other section and also operational costs. So the gym takes a cut, but the largest share, 44%, because there's 33% is profit, 22% is for operating, 44% goes to the coach. And what this does, it allows coaches to make a very large, hourly wage. For example, if you're coaching a class for $20 an hour, that's your cap. Can't do much to do that. However, if you create, generate, and fill a program let's say a weightlifting specialty class or something like that, and you sell 10 of them, 10 spots at $1,000 each, you've got $10,000, 44% of that's $4,400. You can make a very high effective hourly rate. And this is how careers happen, because you can't coach 15 hours a day. Chris Cooper tried it. It almost killed him. He created the Two Brain business to help people avoid that path. So by paying coaches properly, you create careers and you incentivize them to grow those programs. So have you seen these coaches come in and like again, I want to generate a program, make more money? Has that happened in your business?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
actually, to be honest, we have not had success yet with the programs. I'm inspired by what you just said. That is a great way to do it. And I'm going to be thinking about that and doing that next. But they come in and that's exactly right. They're like, they want careers. They don't know how to do it. And so we help guide them into, okay, this is how our owners have done it. Let's help you do that. We, as I mentioned, like our owners can't take another client. So we're able to actually give all of our leads, almost exclusively all of our leads, to these new coaches and really help them grow and succeed. So one of our coaches went to a full-time book of business in 90 days. I mean, it was wild.
Wow.
From not having any clients when we first hired him. We've seen that with one other coach as well. And that took a little bit longer, was about more like, I want to say like 4 months. And we and we now have 2 other coaches that we're focusing on to do that as well. We're running out of space now, but it's
That's when you
working.
put a rooftop patio workouts area. Yeah. So
Mhm.
let me ask you this. You're the first owner that I've talked to on like a high revenue gym who's specifically mentioned career roadmaps. What is
Mm,
that and how does it help you generate revenue?
mm. Okay. So I'm going to rephrase that. How does it help us create happier coaches that are doing really awesome things in their
Yeah.
jobs?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So it allows me and the other like more like HR head owner to be in tune and in sync with the the things that our coaches care about, right? So not only are we caring about the customer journey of our members, we are really, really caring, especially as we invest in professional development, about the client experience of our coaches. So we need to make sure that they are happy, because happy people make other people happier,
Mhm.
like our members. And they also like are more, even they're more loyal to the business. They are more in tune with what the business is doing, and I think that that's really important. Um,
Yeah.
and so we have these career roadmap meetings where, yes, they can offer feedback on what's going on at the gym. It can be like super informal and say like, how are things going? Where do you need support? Right. And then we also like go through a very like clear list of questions that talks about, okay, are you making the money that you want to be making? If not, how do we do it? Right. And I love conversations that, yes, really get into the meat of like how of what is needed, but more importantly, that we have action steps and next steps that we're actually doing. And so then so that's really the structure of how we do it.
Yeah. Like listeners, have you ever asked your coaches ever, what does your career path look like? What do you want to do? Are you making enough money? Are you happy? Or have you just put your head down, mop the floor, done the thing, worked 80 hours and assumed that your coaches are all kind of happy coaching the class for $20 an hour? I did the latter. It was a mistake. Modern gym owners are now meeting with their coaches in actual, like documented 90-day career roadmap sessions and saying, are you happy? What can we do to make this the most sustainable career for you? These happy, motivated coaches are invested in the business. They deliver better service and they come up with some crazy, interesting opportunities for you to grow the business together. We
Mm-hmm.
have a thing called entrepreneurialism 101. Tough one to say. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. You can get a guide. It will tell you how to do this. And it's a documented process, again, from Two Brain, that just explains how to fire coaches up to generate revenue and not create wage costs, but generate revenue that then pays for their wages and kicks in profit to the business. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to keep people. There's a lot of stuff that I want people to work on. So I'm going to ask you one final question here, but talk to me about the specific steps that Chris is giving you now, because like you're on this great path and your business is taking off and going through the roof. How does Chris help you make sure, like that's a scary thing in itself, right? You want to sustain the revenue and keep it going. How does Chris give you specific stuff from month to month to make that happen? Like how is he focusing you? Because there's a lot of stuff you could go, squirrely about now.
There is. There is, and there's always something to be fixed. And I think that is really it, right? Is that we come and like I come to every meeting and I say, here are the things that are going on in our business, right? We discuss them, and then he actually helps me guide, right, to what's most important.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes there are things that weren't on my list, which is the best, because then I can see the impact that it'll have. And that type of refocusing, that lens, is really, really helpful. Yeah. He has like one thing that was surprising that I hadn't focused on. We read Traction together as a so there are a couple of us that are nominated to meet monthly, and then we are now reading it as an ownership team in our weekly meetings. And so the connectivity and the regular rhythms of our ownership team was something that I hadn't focused on, that Chris pointed out, and that has been dramatically improved, even like our culture as well. Like we're now so in sync. I didn't even know that that was a gap we had, and he was able to help. Like, and I don't even think that it was like you guys like aren't in sync. It was, here's some things that I think can help you, and it was just awesome. Yeah.
And that's important for you because you're one of the first owners I've spoken to as part of a larger ownership group. It's more common for me to talk to sole proprietors or maybe like a husband-wife team or things like that, or pairs even. It's less common to see a group of 6. And if you think about the math here, a group of 6, that's 6 families or 6 mouths to feed. I guess it's 5 if you and your husband are involved. But the point being, if you have a group of owners, it's more important to figure out who does what, when, so there's no stepping on toes. Everything gets accomplished. Everyone is happy. Everyone gets fed. So if you're part of a multiple owner group and you're struggling and saying, wow, there's just not enough dough here to feed everyone, book a call with a mentor and we can talk to you about how that might help, because it can happen and it can work for you. Ashley, thank you so much for sharing all this. It's super exciting. Do you think that graph is going to keep doing what it's doing?
Mike, we've got big plans for 2023. We might see a third location and even higher growth. So hire a mentor, everybody. Hire a mentor.
Thank you so much. I want to talk to you next year at this time and see where that chart went. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
All right. That was Ashley Sell. She's one of the amazing gym owners on our November revenue leaderboard. We publish these leaderboards every single month, and then we tell you how people got on them. So follow our blog at twobrainbusiness.com. This is Run a Profitable Gym. The world's best gym owners come on here and they tell you exactly what they're doing so you can have the same success. No secrets, just insight. Please subscribe for more episodes on your way out. And if you're on YouTube, I'd love it if you hit the like button too.